In my last video, I'll Be On in the News, I reviewed the poem For the Fallen, published in 1914, written by Robert Benyon. They claim that the poem is about honoring war heroes. I read the poem and said that I didn't believe that, since it was published right before the war started. I believe it was written for the fallen angels, who are in allegiance with the royals. The author of the poem, Robert Benyon, was Order of Companions of Honor and studied at Oxford. From my research, those are two indications of someone who is in the club. I've given many examples of that pattern on this channel, yet that poem is recited at Remembrance Sunday services in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and South Africa. They say Remembrance Sunday is held to commemorate the contribution of British and Commonwealth military servicemen in the 2 world wars. A commenter on that video said this: on Armistice Day, they create a sea of poppies, lest we forget, at the Tower of London, and from an aerial view, it looks like a sea of blood spilling out. It's designed to look that way, by the way. Check out the images. You will see how gross it is. At night, they light up the tower with the words, For the Fallen. They usher the crowds around so that they circle the display. Thousands and thousands attend, thinking they are honoring loved ones who have died in the wars. I now understand the true purpose of this ritual. And after checking that out, I see it is a blatant ritual. The date, the poppies, the death, the imagery, and the location. As another commenter put it, whichever way you look at it, it all begins with slaughter. Speaking of the history of the British Empire and their rulers, not that any other beast empire has been any different. In a prior video talking about Jeb Stuart, who was also a Confederate general during the American Civil War, and the fact that he descended from the European House of Stuart, historians wrote this about him. Stuart had been the Confederacy's knight-errant, the bold and dashing cavalier, attired in a resplendent uniform, plumed hat, and a cape. Amid a slaughterhouse, he had embodied chivalry. Clinging to the pageantry of a long-gone warrior, he crafted the image carefully, and the image befitted him. He saw himself as the Southern people envisaged him. They needed a knight, and he needed to be that knight. Think about that quote. He was a knight, bold and dashing, embodying chivalry and pageantry, as a warrior among a slaughterhouse. That is the description of a ritual sacrifice. Jeb Stuart was a descendant of the House of Stuart, which is an ennobled Rex-Deuce dragon bloodline, which I've covered before in many videos. Stuarts are the contemporary House of Gold, which is why Jeb Stuart was known as the Knight of the Golden Spurs. The Stuart bloodline is one of the most plausible bloodlines to produce the Antichrist per Gary Wayne. But Armistice Day, they say, specifically marks the end of World War I, observed on November 11th. There's an article here that I'm showing this picture from that says, on Armistice Day in the UK, a sea of red poppies honors the fallen. While Remembrance Day is observed on the second Sunday of November, which is a broader commemoration of all those who have died in wars, Armistice Day is observed specifically on November 11th, marking the end of World War I. Sometimes they overlap. If you watch this channel, you know how I feel about war. Azazel, the fallen angel, taught man the art of war. We know that the royals love what Azazel taught them because they also use that in their heraldic tinctures. I believe war itself is a form of ritual sacrifice. Gary Wayne always says that World War I and World War II were between cousins, the royal god-king cousins. Before I get into this video, I want to address something that offended me recently, which was posted by another YouTube channel that I used to subscribe to. I doubt they will see this, but I'm going to say it anyway. This YouTube channel has recently been posting videos and community posts basically warning other Christians not to focus too much on conspiracy theories and seeing things that aren't there. stating that is in opposition to and takes away from our focus on the gospel. My response to that is this: that is a presumptuous, uninformed, and condescending position. How would you know what anyone else's relationship with Jesus is? My relationship with Jesus and how I walk out my faith is my own personal responsibility and my own business. Even if I did ask for your advice, I would have a hard time seeing how exposing evil is in opposition to the gospel. I have a reason for making these videos to expose evil. I have my own reason. It affects everyone, and it has affected me personally. My mother was in assisted living during the Crohn virus, and I believe she was vipered against my advice because she died alone in assisted living in January of 2021, right after those vipers came out. Patients were not allowed visitors, and you could only peer at the patients from outside window in the cold. Even when she died, we were not allowed to see her body except from that window. Another family member's life was almost completely ruined by the so-called judicial system. Another family member has been disabled by a poison similar to that poison that was included in the Crohn virus viper. So as long as I feel led, I will continue making my videos to expose evil. Now, I'm going to cover this Armistice Day and the Sea of Poppies ritual. At the Tower of London. It's described by the artists as an organic living piece, blood-swept lands, and seas of red. The poppies are made of ceramic by these so-called artists. The Blood-Swept Lands and Seas of Red was a public art installation created in the moat of the Tower of London between July and November of 2014, commemorating the outbreak of World War I. The installation consisted of 888,000 ceramic red poppies, each intended to represent one British or colonial serviceman killed in the war. The ceramic artist was Paul Cummins, and the conceptual design by Tom Piper. In recognition of that work, both of them were awarded Member of the Order of the British Empire. A similar tribute, also designed by Piper, was called Beyond the Deepening Shadow, in which 10,000 flames were lit, again at the Tower of London, installed to mark the centenary end of the war. So this ceramic poppy commemoration was only done on Armistice Day in 2014. They do other variations of that ritual in other years, but apparently it's a thing in London to wear a red poppy in recognition of Armistice Day. The work consisted of a sea of ceramic red poppies in a design which appeared to flow out of the Tower of London itself and rippled across the moat. The poppies were added to the installation progressively by volunteers. The last one planted on November 11th of 2014. Members of the public could pre-order the ceramic poppies for £25 each, with a share of proceeds going to charity, and then they later auctioned them off for more money. Remember how I said they love to have naive people pay for their rituals, which creates a sort of agreement or a contract, same as voting or donating money to any of these so-called organizations. The installation was visited by the Queen, Prince Philip, Prince William, Prince Harry, and the Queen spoke about it in her annual Christmas message in 2014. In all, an estimated 5 million people saw the installation, with people apparently encouraged to form a ritual circle around it on November 11th of 2014. So now I'm going to play this propaganda video that I found about it.
I was just in awe of how many people were here, honestly. It's just really nice to see the support from the whole city.
Such a lovely way to commemorate it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah.
Really moving.
It is very moving.
Tremendous.
Whether it's young people or old people, they've come in their hundreds, they've come in their thousands, and they've stood on the behind the railings, looking down into the moat, really from early in the morning until late at night. And I think why it's caught the imagination of the country is this particular number of 888,246. They fought in mass armies, but they were individual soldiers, and each poppy represents an individual life lost and a family shattered. I think people can understand that.
My son was in the army as well. He served in Ireland, he served in Bosnia, and when I see that, I'm just really, really grateful that he came back.
My mother is from Canada, and her, I believe, grandfather was a spy in the war, so my mom wears a poppy every year.
And that's what it's about. It's appreciation. It's always a little bit of appreciation. I mean, my father died from his injuries from the Second World War. My mum lost 4 brothers during the First World War too, so obviously that's where my passion comes from. But we're all in the same boat. You have 4 or 5 years, and then this will be London, so, and I love London.
And so I think it's become a kind of a place of pilgrimage, not just a place where you see this artwork, or not just a place of commemoration because it's here. It's just become a kind of national focus. It started us asking questions about who we are, what are we doing when we're commemorating, how warlike are we as a nation?
The thing about this is it reminds you that these people were human beings, just as you are a human being, just as the military personnel are human beings, and that interconnection, it's kind of everything. It breaks down the barriers of them versus us, or just a vast quantity of numbers. And I was at the closing sort of ceremony today, and the last poppy got put in, and by a little boy, and you think, that's a life, and you look around and there's more than 800,000 more lives, and it does hit you. Sometimes you look at the vastness of it and it's beautiful but hard to comprehend, and then this one poppy goes down and you think, okay, yeah, this is rather a lot.
We've had so many volunteers, so many people making the poppies, the whole of the Yeoman Water staff, the HRP staff, the number of people involved has been enormous. And I think unusually for a large artwork, it isn't then dominated by a single person or a single ego of an artist. In a sense, though me and Paul treat ourselves and believe that we are artists and this is an artwork, because we've been very open about it, I think we've allowed so many other people into it to take ownership of it.
Nobody that you've met on the project has been a bad seed. It's been a bunch of love, a load of stories that you really love to hear. And just the community has come I'm from the US, and the UK spirit here has made me really proud that I moved here. I've been here 7 years, and I love the spirit of this project. It's just been amazing. So
people are able to bring their own family stories to it. Grandparents can explain to their grandchildren how they connect into this story of our nation.
You just have to remember, I mean, they gave their lives so that we can live in peace today, and what greater gift can you give than your life?
I think it's very important to remember. I think it's a good thing because we're remembering people who've done something for us and who've lost their lives while doing that. And the least we can do, obviously, is remember them.
We've invited members of the public to send in the names of a loved one who lost their lives in the First World War. And we've read out about 200 every evening. And we've done that every evening from the 5th of August through until today. I read the last list at 11 o'clock on the 11th. Lieutenant MJD's Victoria Cross, Royal Fusiliers.
The installation is going to live on in a new, different way in the next 4 years. That there's the first thing, which is them all going out to the general public, the people who bought them, and them having their own kind of tiny fragment of the installation. And then there are the 2 sculptural pieces which have been kindly bought for the nation, and we can take to various different locations to create some new installations relating to new buildings or new landscapes that can create a different kind of narrative on a smaller scale. And then the fact those are going to the Imperial War Museum and will be there, for a long time as a focus for commemoration.
I've just come out of the volunteers office, and there's what we call the measle map, which is a little red dot on every part of the map where the volunteers have come from, and it goes from Singapore to Iceland, from Guinea, Sierra Leone to the west coast of the United States. It's an absolutely incredible geographic spread, and I think that the names on the roll of honour every night have come from all over the Commonwealth countries, and then these poppies are going off around the world. And what we really want to happen is that we want to send these poppies home now. The soldiers never got to go home, but a lot of them will.
So that's the official story. I think grandparents should tell their grandchildren what war's really about when they're of an age ready to hear it. Now for the esoteric meaning. November 11th. In the occult, 1111 is viewed as a message from angels, which gives some insight into the esoteric phrase accompanying the ritual for the fallen. Astrologically, 1111 falls under Scorpio season, which is associated with the occult and magic, indicating the potential for major transformation. Numerologically, the number 11 is considered a master number, representing intuition, spiritual awareness, and increased potential. On November 11th of 1918, an armistice was signed between the Allied powers and Germany, effectively ending World War I at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now the location. Tower of London, officially His Majesty's Royal King God Palace and Fortress of the Tower of London, is a historic citadel and a castle on the north bank of the River Thames in London. It's a complex of several buildings set within two concentric rings of defensive walls and a moat. It was founded towards the end of 1066 as a part of the Norman conquest. The White Tower was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 and is a symbol of oppression inflicted on London by the Norman ruling class. The castle was also used as a prison from 1100 until 1952. It served as an armory, a royal palace, a treasury, a torture chamber, a prison, and the home of the crown jewels of England. The use as a prison led to the phrase, "sent to the Tower." Executions were held on the notorious Tower Hill to the north of the castle. In World War I and World War II, the tower was again used as a prison and witnessed the executions of 112 men for espionage. 6 ravens are kept at the tower at all times under the care of the Raven Master. Ravens are symbolic in the occult, messengers between the living and the dead. They also represent the patriarchy of the dragon elven bloodline. Think Game of Thrones. In short, the Tower of London is a representation of the royal overlords, their wealth, their power over the subjects, and death. Poppies. Poppies are symbolic in the occult. Poppies are where the drug opium comes from. Cornelius Agrippa, the occultist, associated poppies with Saturn as a god. Poppies are related to death, dreams, visions, and sleep in folk magic. In the occult movie The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West tricks Dorothy and leads her into a field of poppies, which drugs her and her dog.
And now, my beauty, something with poison in it, I think. With poison in it, but attractive to the eye and soothing to the smell. Poppies. Poppies will put them to sleep. Sleep. Now they'll sleep. be a wonderful wizard to live in a city like that.
Well, come on then. What are we waiting for? Nothing. Let's hurry.
Yes, let's run. What's happening? What is it? I can't run anymore. I'm so sleepy.
Here, give us your hands and we'll pull you along.
Oh, no, please. I have to rest for just a minute. Toto, where's Toto?
Oh, you can't rest now. We're nearly there. Don't cry. You'll rust yourself again.
Come to think of it, 40 weeks wouldn't be bad.
Don't you start it, too. No. We ought to try and carry Dorothy. I don't think I could, but we could try. Len, yes.
Oh, look at him. This is terrible.
Here, Tin Man, help me. Oh, this is terrible. Can't budge an inch. This is the spell, this is.
It's a spell. Poppies appear in Greek myth when Demeter created the flower to bring her sleep so that she could forget her grief after Hades abducted Persephone. It's associated with Hypnos, the god of sleep, Thantos, the god of death, and Nyx, the goddess of the night. They either wore poppies as crowns or held them in their hands. The Romans continued this fascination with poppies, but transferred it to the dead rather than linking it with sleep. They made offerings of poppies to the dead, especially if they wanted to appease the dead. They are linked to Morpheus, the god of dreams. Through their association with opium, poppy seeds can help with psychic dreaming, according to witchcraft. Poppies were also featured in the documentary accompanying the 2012 Olympics in London. Now I'm going to play a little bit of this ceremony from last year in 2024, which was more of a visual effect, and I don't think it involves the ceramic poppies, but it does involve poppies.
Now, it is Armistice Day today, and the Tower of London is being lit up with a light show in remembrance of the military personnel and civilians who died in the First and Second World Wars.
The display includes poppies, but also some of the images of those who served, along with music from the time. Our correspondent Tim Muffet went to see it.
During the darkest hours, they fought and died. For their country, their loved ones, and for us, the generations that followed. Now, at the Tower of London, in the darkness, they are being remembered with light.
This is such an important site historically, over 1,000 years of history. So when we actually place artwork in here, we are trying to create art historic content that works with this living, breathing space.
Artist and sculptor Peter Walker created the stunning visual effects.
The poppies behind us is really a way of placing us back in the First World War. It allows us to walk in the footsteps, as it were, of the soldiers as they walk through. So we can take people on an immersive journey through remembrance, but also on very personal reflection.
They're flowers, the tenderness of patient minds.
To drive remembrance, we're using the words, the sounds, the music of that era. We also pay tribute to civilian loss, with 16 million falling leaves that cascade across one of the buildings here. We have some recitation by Eddie Redmayne of poetry, which is really beautiful.
Who thinks of June's first rose today? Only some child, perhaps, with shining eyes and rough bright hair will reach it down in a green, sunny lane.
The Tower of London has played a key role in our national story. At various times, a royal residence, a prison, and of course, home to the crown jewels.
Thanks for listening to me.